The rain hammered against the window like a warning, a reminder of how quickly life could turn. How suddenly the world you built could collapse. Matthew Carter, a single dad with exhaustion stitched into his eyes, sat on the edge of his small apartment couch, staring at the unopened eviction notice lying on the table. His heart felt too heavy for his chest, as if the world had decided he had carried enough, but still kept adding weight. He had spent years trying to rebuild himself after his wife passed away. Trying to be both mother and father to his little daughter Emily, trying to work hard enough at his job to keep them afloat. But life didn't always reward good people. Sometimes it just tested them until they broke. If you're watching this and you believe in kindness, in people deserving second chances, in bravery even when life is unfair, then please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps us reach more hearts like yours. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your words mean more than you know. Matthew wiped his eyes and forced himself to breathe. He had never imagined raising a child alone. Emily was the only light left after tragedy stole so much from him. She was 7, full of questions and laughter, and she looked at him like he had the answers to every impossible thing. But today he didn't. Today, he wasn't even sure how to keep their home. His job at Bright Sky Innovations was hanging by a thread after cutbacks, and he feared he would be next. And ironically, the person who held his future in her hands, his boss, Evelyn Hart, was known for her tough decisions, her cold professionalism, and the invisible walls she built around herself. She was brilliant, respected, intimidating, and seemingly untouchable. That night, once Emily was asleep, Matthew sank into the couch and opened a dating app he hadn't touched in months. His friend had installed it, begging him to try to meet someone new. But Matthew never felt ready. Tonight, he opened it. Only to distract himself from the fear tightening his chest. He scrolled absently, barely registering the faces, the names, the blurred hopes of strangers searching for connection. And then he froze. There she was, Evelyn Hart. His own boss. The woman whose approval determined whether he would continue supporting his daughter. Her profile wasn't stiff and strict like her office persona. She looked softer, her hair loose, her smile small but real, her eyes carrying something that looked almost like loneliness. The sudden humanity of it shook him. He stared too long, too stunned to process, his finger trembling. And then, with one accidental motion of nervous panic, he liked her photo. His heart exploded into chaos. He sat up straight, breathing fast, whispering, "No, no, no, no." Like the universe might undo the tap if he begged hard enough. This was his boss, his powerful, composed boss. What would she think? Would she be angry? Would she fire him? Would she think he was stalking her? He felt sick, hands shaking, knowing life had just tripped him into another disaster. 5 minutes later, the app buzzed. He closed his eyes before checking the notification, bracing himself for the worst. But what he saw didn't make sense. Not at first. It felt like his mind refused to believe the words. And then his breath caught, his heart stumbling over itself. "I was thinking," that's all her message said. But it wasn't rejection. It wasn't anger. It wasn't cold or professional. It was unfinished, almost hesitant, like she had been contemplating something long before he had mistakenly swiped at her picture. Matthew's chest tightened with confusion. What had she been thinking? The next morning at work, he moved through the halls like a man walking through fog. Every step felt uncertain. Every breath felt too loud. He wanted to pretend nothing had happened, but he couldn't unsee the message. He couldn't ignore the possibility of whatever she had been about to confess. And when he finally made his way into the meeting room, his eyes met Evelyn's across the polished table. Her expression faltered for the smallest second. Something vulnerable flickered before her business mask slid back into place. But that 1 second stayed with him all day that he tried to focus on spreadsheets, reports, and deadlines. But his mind was tangled with questions. And strangely, as hours passed, he began noticing tiny cracks in Evelyn's armor he had never seen before. The way she lingered by the breakroom window as if lost in thought. The way her hand trembled slightly when picking up her coffee cup. The way her eyes softened. Only when she thought no one was looking that evening when he picked up Emily from her after-school program, she wrapped her arms around him and asked why he looked sad. Children could sense heartbreak like weather changes. Matthew forced a smile, but it faltered when he realized how deeply he feared failing her. Emily deserved stability, a home, a father who didn't crumble under pressure. On the walk back, she told him about her day, her tiny victories, her friendships, her worries about him. And that night, after she fell asleep, he opened the app again, staring at the message he still hadn't responded to. He typed, deleted, typed again, and finally, he sent something simple, honest, something he hoped wouldn't destroy the job he needed so badly. He explained that the like was accidental, that he respected her deeply, and that he hoped it wouldn't affect work. It was raw, vulnerable, and terrifying. Hours passed. No reply. But, clear his throat, the next morning, everything changed. Evelyn asked him to come to her office. His heart nearly stopped. He expected the worst. A termination, a formal reprimand, something that would push his life further into darkness. But when he entered her office, he found her standing by the window, her eyes glistening, her posture softer than he had ever seen. She began talking, not with the authority of a boss, but with the quiet heartbreak of a woman who had spent too long hiding her wounds. She admitted she had seen him for a long time now, not as an employee, but as a man who worked tirelessly, loved his daughter fiercely, and carried grief with dignity. She confessed that she had been thinking of reaching out to him long before the accidental like, but her fear of mixing work and emotion had locked her in silence. Matthew listened with a heart full of disbelief. Evelyn, the woman who seemed fearless, was afraid, too. Afraid of being judged, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of reaching out. In that moment, something in Matthew shifted. Life wasn't just testing him. It was offering him something he hadn't dared to dream of. Over the next few weeks, the world around them slowly changed. Evelyn became more human in his eyes, more real, more fragile. She met Emily accidentally one evening when a late meeting forced Matthew to bring her along. And the look in Evelyn's eyes when Emily shyly offered her a tiny crayon drawing was something Matthew never forgot. It was the look of someone who had spent years wanting a family, but never having the courage to admit it. Their bond grew quietly, gently, with every shared moment, every late-night conversation about healing, every confession about what they had lost and what they still hoped to find. Evelyn helped Matthew fight the eviction notice by giving him a better position at work, not out of pity, but because she knew his worth and had overlooked it for too long. Matthew helped Evelyn lower the walls she built around her heart. And Emily. She became the bridge between two broken adults trying to remember what love felt like. But love, real love, isn't a sudden explosion. It's a slow warmth, a steady sunrise, a growing trust. And one evening, months later, as they walked together through a quiet park while Emily ran ahead chasing butterflies, Evelyn whispered that unfinished thought she had sent him that night. I was thinking, maybe life gives us second chances in unexpected ways. Maybe you were one of mine. Matthew didn't speak. He didn't need to. The way he reached for her hand, the way she allowed it, the way the world suddenly felt a little less heavy, all of it was enough. Sometimes the people who seem the strongest are the ones silently breaking. And sometimes the people who feel the most broken are the ones still capable of giving love that can heal others. Matthew and Evelyn found each other not by coincidence, but by quiet, fragile hope disguised as mistakes in timing. And in a world full of heartbreak, their story became proof that even accidental moments can lead to the most beautiful beginnings. That if this story touched your heart, if it made you feel something deep, warm, or hopeful, please remember to like, comment, and share. Your support helps stories like this reach more people who might need a reminder that love and second chances are real.